Good evening, and welcome once again to another episode of Twilight Thoughts On. Again, chosen by me because nobody ever requests anything for me to do with this series. And while I know you're out there, one of you at least must be watching this. You gotta have something for me, come on, anything. I don't care what it is. Yes, I'm wearing my dress here, as you can tell, very nice and probably not feminine at all, but as you might know if you've been paying attention on IRC, you know that today Twilight has got a birthday. Well, actually it's yesterday by now, but I am now 26 years old, so that's one thing to celebrate, I suppose. But anyway, yes, today's topic is Kingdom Hearts. Now, I wanted to kind of expand this series into actually giving a brief sort of factual summary of the story of the thing in question that I'm talking about, in case you didn't know. So Kingdom Hearts is basically a multi-platform video game series. It's created by Disney, developed by Square Enix, so basically it's a collaboration between Disney, specifically the Japan branch of Disney, and they hire Square Enix to develop the games, but all the writing and all the basically all the story is Disney. It's all entirely owned by Disney. It's not, as some people think, it's not a joint ownership between Disney and Square Enix. It's all owned by Disney entirely. Square Enix just developed the games, so okay, that's cleared up. And the story, it's really hard to sum up the story in a few sentences because it's such a complicated plot. But it basically focuses around a boy called Sora and his quest to stop the Heartless from destroying all the worlds. And yes, I say worlds, plural, because there is more than one. The Heartless are basically people's hearts that have been forcibly removed from their bodies, and they turn into these sort of dark creatures. And Sora is a Keyblade wielder, and the Keyblade is a mystical weapon that basically is like a key, hence the name, which is the only thing that can return the lost hearts that the Heartless have taken back to their proper owners. Or something like that. Anyway, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the basic version of it. So there are at moments 9 games in the series, including remakes and spin-offs. There's with Kingdom Hearts 3, I believe, coming out sometime this year, so that's something to look forward to. And Kingdom Hearts 3, the series creator Tetsuya Nomura said that Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the end of the Dark Seeker saga, as he calls it, that began with Kingdom Hearts, the first game, but it won't be the end of the series as a whole, so there is going to still be more games coming in the future, just with a different storyline. I don't know if it's going to be the same characters or not, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so let me give you my opinion on this game. Short version, I love Kingdom Hearts. It is one of my favourite video game series. Some people complain that Kingdom Hearts 2 is too easy, but I don't think so. I mean, yes, okay, so I can get through it on Proud mode, which is the highest difficulty setting, using the default keychain fairly easily. I mean, ask me to do the optional stuff, like fight against Sephiroth or the Paradox Cups in the Olympus Coliseum. I can't do that, those with Kingdom Chain, but I can do most of the storyline stuff with it, no problem. So yeah, I guess you could call that easy-ish. But again, you have the optional stuff, which is freaking hard. I mean, even with I have Sora level 99 with Ultimate Weapon, best keychain in the whole game. Donald and Goofy both have Save the Queen and Save the King, which are their best weapons. Save the Queen and Save the King Plus, actually. And I still cannot beat the Hades Paradox Cup. I can't even get past round 8 or something, and it's 50 rounds. So yeah, anyone who complains that Kingdom Hearts 2 is easy should take a go at those. Okay, So, what can I say about this? Other than it's just a great series. I mean, you probably don't want to overthink the plot too much because you will get confused. It is a very complicated series. I mean, even for any series that goes on this long has a lot of twists and turns and strange things in the plot that don't really make sense. But Kingdom Hearts is especially annoying because not only is it multi-platform, so it's got 2 games on the PS2, 1 on the Game Boy Advance, which was later remade for the PS2 and also the DS, 1 that was actually released on the DS, 1 for the PSP, and 1 for the 3DS, and then the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be on the PS4 and Xbox One. So that's at least 7 consoles or game playing machines that you're going to need if you want to complete if you want the full experience of Kingdom Hearts, unless you watch playthroughs, or you get the HD remix collections on PS3, which have Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts Final Mix and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and a movie-ish version of 358 Days Over 2 on the first collection, and then the second collection has Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, which is the PSP one, and the movie-ish version of Kingdom Hearts Recoded. Kingdom Hearts Recoded, by the way, is a remake of a mobile phone game that previously only existed in Japan, called Kingdom Hearts Coded. And it's remake, and you know about that. So that's basically all I have to say about it in terms of how I feel about it, because all I can say is just I like it. It's fun, it's got a good story, it's nostalgic. If you were a Disney fan growing up, which I was, because I watched a lot of Disney movies when I was a kid, and I still do, in fact. So yeah, you see all your favourite characters there. You've got Aladdin, The Lion King, Little Mermaid, Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, Peter Pan. Every possible Disney movie you could think of it's there in some way or form, either as a world itself or just a character that appears from it, or even just a brief background reference. There's loads of Disney stuff there, and Final Fantasy too, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, which again I am. So it's good for those sort of reasons too. So now I'm going to give you a few hopefully interesting facts about the series, just off the top of my head. Like I said, this show is unscripted, so I'm just saying whatever comes to my mind. The Kingdom Hearts, it kind of happened entirely by chance, because it was basically conceptualized because a Disney employee and the Square Enix, or whatever they were called back then, employee took an elevator ride together in the same building, and then they got talking, and one of them pitched a game idea to the other, and then one thing led to another, and sooner or later we had Kingdom Hearts. At first, because the main 3 characters are Sora, Donald Duck and Goofy, at first there was disagreement about who the main character should be. Disney wanted Donald Duck to be the protagonist, while Square Enix, whatever, I'll just call them Square from now on, make it easier. Square wanted Mickey Mouse. They couldn't decide on who should be the protagonist, so they decided to create an entirely new character, which was Sora. And yes, this means Sora is a Disney character, as is Riku, Kairi, Roxas, and Organization 13, all them. They're all Disney characters. What else can I say? The first game had a lot of cut content, all the games had a lot of cut content actually. The first game in particular was to feature Bahamut, the infamous dragon from the Final Fantasy games, as a summon. It was cut out the game, but still can be found in the game's data through hacking, but if you select it as a summon, it just crashes the game. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was planned to have a Final Mix exclusive summon of Woody and Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Again, that was scrapped. No one knows really why, but their untextured character models can still be found in the game's data. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, the PSP game, was going to feature a world based on the Jungle Book. Again, remnants of the world's data could be found in the game's files, including an almost complete King Lou's temple area. Again, it's not known why exactly the world was scrapped. The first game was also planned to feature a Jungle Book world. That one was left out because there was already a Tarzan world in there, and Disney thought that 2 jungle-themed worlds would be redundant. The reason Tarzan doesn't actually feature in any of the other games besides the first one is because Disney lost the rights to use the character and all related materials from the estate of Edgar Rice Burroughs, who wrote the original novels, and couldn't get it back. So that's why, even though Chain of Memories is based on worlds that Sora has visited in the past, because he's retracing his memories, essentially, Deep Jungle does not feature in that game because they couldn't get the rights to use Tarzan again. What else can I say? There's a slight mistake in Jimmy's journal in the first game that it identifies Sabor from Tarzan as a he, where in the original movie Sabor was female. In fact, Sabor is not the character's actual name, it's the 8th language word for lioness in the original Tarzan novels, which got changed to leopardess for the Disney movie. But in any case, Sabor is female, not male. The second game's journal incorrectly states that Tigger first appeared in Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, whereas Tigger actually appeared in the next short movie, which is Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. However, there have been several scenes in later Winnie the Pooh movies that were original Disney creations, not adapted from the novels by A.A. Milne, that feature flashback scenes of things that happened during the time of Honey Tree with Tigger present in them. So I think Tigger has been retconned as being around since Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree, even though he never actually appears in that movie. There's a couple of minor translation errors in the first game, one of which is as Donald and Goofy are preparing to leave Disney Castle to go look for the key bearer, as per Mickey's instructions in the letter he leaves them, Donald says a very cryptic line which is never really explained. He says, "Daisy, can you take care of," and then she cuts him off with, "Of course, you be careful now, both of you." And this is never really explained what he was referring to or what he wanted her to take care of, which is because that line was badly translated. In the Japanese version, he literally says, "Daisy, the king," and then she cuts him off with, "I know, you be careful too." What he actually was going to say was, "We will find the king." In Japanese, the word order would be "the king we will find." So he started with the king, and then she cut him off because she knew what he was going to say. Also, in the second game, I say second game was technically the third game because the second was Chain of Memories, but I'm talking about Kingdom Hearts 2. Goofy says that it was King Mickey who banished Pete to the Dark Dimension, or wherever he went sent him. Whereas in Birth by Sleep, we find out it was actually Queen Minnie who did it. The word Goofy uses in Japanese is a generic word that can refer to any member of royalty. The translators took a gamble at it because Birth by Sleep had not yet been made, and translated it as His Majesty, when it should actually have been Her Majesty. Okay, what else can I say? The Battle of 1,000 Heartless, which everyone who's played Kingdom Hearts 2 knows, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a huge battle, Sora alone versus, like the name says, 1,000 Heartless. You might be surprised to learn that was originally going to be a cutscene rather than actually be playable, but they probably wisely, I think, decided that they should actually make it playable because it was one of the best parts of the game. Let's see. I don't know how to think what you can talk about when you don't actually script with these damn things. But I don't know how it goes. I know there's more I can say. No, I can't think of anything. Well, I guess I'll end it here then. I kind of want to talk for a bit longer because this doesn't. I could talk about the beta, trailers for the first and second. The trailer for the second game particularly featured a lot of things that didn't actually happen in the game, or at least happened a lot differently than they were shown in the trailers. For one, Sora was seen, and Donald and Goofy were seen in the castle walls area of Hollow Bastion from the first game, which was not actually accessible in the second game, and it was shown that is the place where they first met Organization 13. They also seen fighting Neo Shadows there, where Neo Shadows don't actually show up in the normal game, they only show up in the final mix version, and only in the world that never was. There's also a scene of Donald trying to cast, because in the actual game, Goofy gets knocked on the head with a boulder while saving Mickey from the same fate and gets knocked out, and everyone thinks, although the audience is probably not so convinced, that Goofy is actually dead. Donald is understandably very upset about this, and when Goofy returns, is found out to be alive all along. Donald whacks him with his staff as a sort of punishment, making him worry. The trailer seems to include an alternate version of that scene where Donald actually attempts to cast a spell on Goofy. Goofy ducks, and the spell ricochets off the walls and hits Donald, freezing him solid. I'm not sure if that would be more or less. I'm not sure if that would be better or worse. It certainly would be funnier, but the scene is meant to be a bit sort of poignant as well, not particularly very funny. Oh, I can talk about the sea salt ice cream, because that is actually a real thing. A lot of people think that it couldn't exist because the salt would lower the freezing temperature of the water, and therefore you wouldn't be able to make ice cream with it. But apparently you can. Not entirely sure how, but Tetsuya Nomura had it at the Tokyo Disneyland Resort, and he liked it so much he decided to put it in the game. So that's why everyone is always eating sea salt ice cream in Kingdom Hearts. Apparently that's the only flavour of ice cream that ever exists, considering that it's the only kind you ever actually see anyone eating. Oh well, product placement, well not really product placement because it's just generic food, but the Scrooge McDuck in Birth by Sleep was actually voiced by the original voice actor, Alan Menken, who was 90 years old at the time of recording. He also incidentally voiced Scrooge in the DS game DuckTales Remastered, so pretty impressive considering he's 90 years old and he's still voicing the same character he voiced all those years ago. Yeah, all the cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep are voiced. There's no unvoiced speech bubbles like there are in other games, which I think is pretty impressive considering they had a lot of characters who didn't have a voice at all in the previous games, like Huey, Dewey and Louie. I'm not sure if it's their original voice actors or someone else. Not all the Disney characters, unfortunately, had their original voice actors. Some of them were replaced by voice actors from the Final Fantasy games. Some were voiced by other cartoon voice actors. I won't list every example because I can't remember every example, but I can tell you that Simba, adult Simba in Kingdom Hearts 2 is actually voiced by James Arnold Taylor, who you may know as the voice of Tidus from Final Fantasy X. Timon is voiced by someone else other than Nathan Lane. Pumbaa does have his original voice actor though. None of the Pirates of the Caribbean characters are actually voiced by their own actors. They wanted to have them voiced by their own actors, but the actors themselves were busy filming the actual movies at the time, because Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest and Pirates of the Caribbean At World's End were both filmed back to back, so the actors had their hands full basically filming the movies. They had to get professional voice actors to do the voices instead. And Jack Sparrow is again voiced by James Arnold Taylor, who I gotta say does a fairly decent job mimicking Jack Sparrow's voice. I forget who did the others, Will Barbosa, whatever. Elizabeth is voiced by the same woman who does a lot of adult females on South Park, incidentally enough. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, Frollo, who appears in Kingdom Hearts 3D, Dream Drop Distance, was voiced by someone else because his original voice actor tragically passed away before the recording was made. Same with Mickey's voice actor, who Mickey has actually changed VAs at least I think 3 times since the start, because his original voice actor Wayne Allwine, who was the official voice for Mickey, died shortly after recording the lines for Rechain of Memories. I think that or Birth by Sleep was the last game he ever did the voice of Mickey in. Then he was replaced by Brett I1 or E1 or whatever for Recoded onwards. The credits to Recoded actually say in memory of Wayne Allwine, so there's that. And I think now he's actually been changed again as a 3D, but I don't remember who voices him now. There are videos of Jesse McCartney, the voice of Roxas, recording himself making various fighting sounds into a microphone, which were released shortly around the time of the build-up to Kingdom Hearts 3, which seems to indicate that Roxas will be in Kingdom Hearts 3 and possibly even playable if he's recording, or at least boss if he's recording actual fighting sounds. Considering that Roxas is now part of Sora because they've merged back together, complicated plot, I don't know, it might indicate that either a battle in the centre of the mind or somehow Roxas is going to, or a memory or something like that. But if it was a memory, i.e. a flashback, then it wouldn't make sense for them to record new sound effects because they would just use the sound effects from the previous game, assuming they still had them. And that gives me another topic, another thing to mention. The staff at Disney or Square Enix or whatever how the games are made actually lost the original assets to the first Kingdom Hearts game, so when they made Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix they had to actually remake the game from scratch, which I think is dedication. They are actually willing to do that. They still had the voices, they didn't have to record the voices again, which is good, because Haley Joel Osment, who voices Sora, he's all grown up now, so he wouldn't sound like he did back then. Speaking of voice actor replacements, there is something I have to complain about, and that is the replacement of the Final Fantasy characters' voices, because a lot of them were changed for the worse, particularly Aerith. In the first game she's voiced by in the first game she's voiced by Mandy Moore, who does a pretty good job voicing the character. In the second game she's replaced by Mena Suvari, who also voices her in Advent Children and all the compilation of Final Fantasy VII games she appears in, who is not good at all. David Boreanaz, who some people may know plays Angel in Angel and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, was the voice by some other guy, I forget the name which, but who also voices him in CD, I believe. But come on, you had Angel voicing Squall and you ditched him for someone else? Why? He is so good too, he's such a good voice for Squall. Okay, Cloud's voice actor is kind of, it's the same. I don't remember who did it in the first game, it was Steve Burton in the second, because he also voices in Advent Children. They had to use all the advent children voice actors, and that's why Sid actually has a voice now. Because he didn't in the first game. Sephiroth is voiced by Lance Bass from the band NSYNC. In the first game he was voiced by George Newbern, I think, in the second game, who is also again the Advent Children actor. Lance Bass is okay. I mean, all he had to do was battle dialogue, really, so it's not that big of a demand on him, I suppose. But there was one thing that confused a lot of people, which was what exactly he said when doing that ultimate attack that either kills Sora instantly or reduces his HP to 1 if you've got the once more and second chance abilities equipped. Because it's so, his voice is so quiet, and you're probably not focusing on what he's saying if you're trying to avoid not dying. If you're trying to avoid dying, by the way. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Yes, his voice is so quiet and he says it so fast, so a lot of people had trouble hearing what exactly he said. A lot of them called up Brady Games, who wrote the official strategy guide for the game, and who claimed it was Thin Harvest, but when you listen to it, it actually doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like he's saying a lot more than that. The second game, his voice acting made it clear that what he actually says is Descend, Heartless Angel. It's a reference to the attack called Heartless Angel that Sephiroth uses in Final Fantasy VII, which does basically the same thing. It reduces your HP to 1. So at least that was cleared up. And now I really can't think of anything else, so unless something comes to mind in between now and the time it takes for me to stop this video, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'll be going back to my old home tomorrow, or today by now, so I'll be getting my headset from there, so hopefully I'll have better sound quality in future videos. So until then, take care, rest in peace, and please make requests for things for me to talk about, because I really want to talk about the stuff you want me to talk about. Thank you, and take care. Bye bye.